I don't think anybody can question the resume of Joe Lacob. I think it's a completely fair concern to wonder, whether it's about Lacob or anyone else, what happens to the Warriors when Steph Curry's not here. I get that fear, especially from a fan base that never knew anything, quite frankly, but losing, for the most part, before Steph Curry came. So I understand all that, and I accept sort of your characterization of Joe Lacob, but what you said is what I hope to be true, but I don't know that. What's being passed along from those close to the situation is that Joe is very, very focused on making sure that the Warriors are in a good spot when Steph leaves. And their actions so far suggest that's what's really firing them up right now. And that should be part of what they think about. But if it gets them to a spot where they are almost gun shy with regard to building some things around Steph Curry for the remainder of his career, I know I'm not alone in thinking that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing for Steph first and foremost, but it's a bad thing for all of us too.
Agreed, but I don't think that they've been in a spot where there's been a move that they could make that they failed to make. Like the Jaylen Brown one, we all want to look at and say, well, I mean, 3 firsts and Jimmy Butler, why didn't you offer that? Maybe they did, and maybe Boston said, no, we want somebody who actually plays basketball before February 1st. And the idea of 4 firsts at the deadline last year and Jimmy Butler, who was already hurt at the deadline last year, that, for me, if that's what Boston's ask was of you, that's a no from me if I'm Joe Lacob.
I agree, except for I don't think Boston, I think it's hard to say that what Boston really wanted was someone who could play basketball for the full year this year. If they initiated a call to the Warriors to try to get Jimmy Butler.
Well, if they initiated a call and it was 4 firsts and Jimmy Butler,
right,
then that still, for me, at this point, is a no.
I agree. How about 3?
Well, I don't even know if 3 was on the table.
Well,
like the report from Logan Murdoch in The Ringer
was that there was no counter, right?
Right, and was that the counter for the trade deadline in February, or was that the counter now in the present?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure what that was, but I'm with you in principle of, yes, it can't only be about what happens after Steph is here, and I don't think that they're approaching it that way, but I think that they're looking at it and they're seeing the reality, which is, okay, so you get Jaylen Brown and we give up a bunch of picks, and you've got Jaylen Brown here, Jimmy's gone, thanks for being here, but does that take you to a spot where Steph Curry is now going to win championship number 5? I don't think so.
Look, the pressure is just upped, whether it's fair or not. There's just, to me, this is the reality of the situation. I accept everything you're saying, and the Warriors are in a tough spot, and there may not have been a deal to be made, and people have either said no, or the Warriors have not gotten involved deep enough. That can all be true. But the bottom line is the bottom line. Steph's days are numbered. He is, in this moment, on an expiring deal next year, and you, the organization, continues to trumpet optionality and flexibility. Optionality and flexibility are great unless you decide to not use them, okay? So you get one of those plane ticket vouchers because the whole thing was full, and hey, we're looking for volunteers to come on up here, and would you grab a $200 flight credit? How about a $300 flight credit? Oh, now we're up to $400. Okay, I'm in, $400 flight credit. That credit has a little thing at the bottom of it, and it says this expires in 365 days. Well, what good is that credit if all you do is just keep it? So the Warriors, sure, optionality, flexibility, money coming off the books. If you keep that until after Steph retires, then you didn't do bupkis. To me, you got to do something about this next year. You can't do another year of we brought everybody back.
I agree with that part of it, and you still have the upcoming deadline, and you have next offseason, and I'll give them until next October to go ahead and use that flight voucher. And it's funny you said that because I just was talking to my son Quest about his trip to Europe. He was there for 3.5 weeks, and his college roommate went with them, and he was going to be there for 10 days. And they came to them and said, full flight, we're looking for volunteers to take a flight the next day. We'll give you $1,000. And so Quest was going to be there for 3.5 weeks, and he was thinking, yeah, I mean, one day off my trip, no biggie. But he asked his former roommate, and his trip would now go from really 9 days, because one day is going to be flying. Like, now you're down to an 8-day trip. You get $1,000, but you lose a day. Is it worth it to you to go ahead and do that? And he was like, no, I kind of want the extra day. And so to your point about this, like, you've got all this optionality, and you're going to have financial flexibility next summer to where Jimmy will be off the books or at a lesser number, and Draymond the same, and all the rest of it. So at that point, you either use your flight voucher or you don't. And if you don't, that's where I'm going to be more aligned with you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it right now. It's like the Warriors are going to pitch this to us for this offseason. I'm already looking forward to the press conferences because, oh, God, I feel for you, Dunleavy and Lacob and Kerr and all of you. You're going to talk, and people are not going to be happy when you pitch that, yeah, Al Horford's 56, but trust us, he can make it 3 sometimes.
Introductory press conference, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Vogel.
It's just, I mean, it's just there's no way for it to go well. But I can wrap my head around it. But if I had the juice, and I don't, but if I did, your optionality, I would just like to put a little expiration date on it at the bottom of your coupon. That's what I would like to do. Great. Optionality, flexibility. Jimmy Butler comes off the books next year. Draymond Green comes off the books next year. Unfortunately, for the moment, so does Steph Curry. With all that money that's coming off the books. Okay. July 15th, 2027, expiration date. I would like to see something aggressive. Doesn't need to be this, that, or the other. Doesn't need to be a superstar, top 5 player in the league. I'd love to see something aggressive happen by then, before Steph Curry leaves this league. And I don't think that that's unfair.
It's not unfair, and I wonder if Steph Curry's actions will indicate how he feels about it, because he's eligible to be extended in about 4 weeks.
Yep.
And if he doesn't do an extension, that's only going to add fuel to the speculation fire about, maybe Steph is looking to go elsewhere. And I hate to bring this up, but I will, because you did the whole thing with pods earlier. So I'm going to, equally be inflammatory.
Oh.
Jimmy Shapiro,
sure,
the great media rep, he sends out these odds emails.
Yeah.
And the one I got today is, while it remains highly unlikely Steph Curry finishes his career anywhere other than Golden State, here are the odds on Steph Curry's next team.
Oh, God.
So there are Steph Curry next team odds if, in fact, he goes elsewhere. And so I won't go through the whole list. Charlotte is the favorite.
Charlotte, of course.
At 2 to 3, minus 150. But the very fact that this sort of an email gets sent tells me that if Steph Curry doesn't sign an extension, the speculation will run rampant all year long.
No doubt.
By the way, Sacramento is last on the board.
Can you imagine?
He could commute. Can
you imagine Steph Curry as a king? The answer's no, by the way. The answer's no.
Sabonis, Curry, light the beam.
We got some royalty on this phone line right now. A few of them. BPA is going to be first. Yeah. Hi, BPA. How you been?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up?
I think my response to Dibs, next trade deadline, next offseason, next whatever. I have a 3-word answer, which is ain't going to happen. We've been pitched optionality in next offseason and next trade deadline for most of the last half decade with the Warriors. And so they're not going to do it. They're out of pie. They're in all the same ways that Lacob gets credit for assembling an incredibly talented front office when he came in, right, with Jerry West and Bob Myers and Travis Schlenk. He gets whatever the opposite of credit is for the state of the front office today, with a general manager who would not be hired by a single other of the 31 teams in the NBA. And so, yeah, they're just out of talent, out of pie, on the management and front office end. And, you can only float so many rumors through Tim Kawakami through the years or plant the next big chase of a free agent, and we're not buying it anymore, period. So, yeah, I hope Steph goes someplace and plays meaningful basketball, because watching him play meaningful basketball is one of the high points of my sporting fandom life.
BPA, do you mean that? I want to challenge you on that statement. Do you mean that? You hope Steph Curry leaves?
I think staying here for an organization that's given up is not, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Right? Like,
yeah, but do you want to see that? You actually want to see that though?
I mean, yes, I want to see whatever's left when the lights are on and brightest and the pressure's on. He's the greatest I've ever seen, maybe aside from Jordan.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see it, just a few more snapshots of that. And the Warriors organization have given up. Mike Dunleavy Jr. ain't up to the gig, period. And, Joe Lacob, the VC, should recognize a bad bet as a GM. And the Joe Lacob of 10 years ago would have recognized what Dunleavy is at this point. And, in the same way, hey, Jerry Jones, full credit for what he did and built the Cowboys. Jerry Jones also owns what's become of the Cowboys. And that's why I call Joe Lacob Jerry Jones Lacob now. It's a pretty perfect analogy. It's where he's going. It's where he's gone.
BPA, thanks. I'm hearing Jerry Jones a lot lately. We're a
little premature.
That's premature. That's premature to me. However, he brings up something that, my mind just kind of popped to a different spot. If Steph were to play somewhere else, are there Warrior fans that would temporarily be a fan of a different team? That's kind of what that sounded like he was insinuating.
Yeah, I mean, he would like to see Steph Curry play meaningful basketball somewhere else, because it's not going to be here.
I have no interest in Steph Curry ever putting on a different uniform.
Nor do I. And if he becomes a Charlotte Hornets, I'm not going to rush out and get a Charlotte Hornets 30 jersey with Curry on the back.
You might.